Hello, thanks everybody.
We are back.
Creech, look at this crowd.
We've got a beautiful crowd here today, and a couple not so beautiful ones, including the ones on the stage.
And we have today a very special show. This is actually a fan request. A lot of people want to know our funny movie theater stories. Actual real experiences that you and I have had during our many, many years of going to the movie theater. So here we are. Funny movie theater stories. The Creech and Frantz show.
And what's going to be unique about this show is not only do we have the funny theater stories from you as an actual moviegoer, but there's some crazy shit behind the scenes that happens that me as a worker, former manager, projectionist have been able to witness.
So we get to hear your war stories as well, basically.
Exactly, yes. And I feel like, Franz, you should go ahead and kick it off so we can know what kind of stories we're going to have to top.
I have a good story. So me and Bam were in Chicago one time. Bam Margera, as you know, I've worked a lot with Bam Margera doing the Jackass films, the CKY series, MTV's Viva La Bam, a lot of music videos for him and the 69 Eyes, all this stuff. So we've worked very closely. And we were in Chicago and he saw that the movie The Transporter was playing. Have you seen this movie, The Transporter, Creech?
Franz, I actually have not seen this. I believe it's the one that has Jason Statham.
It doesn't matter who's in the movie. It doesn't matter. If you haven't seen it, don't bother. But anyway, so Bam sees the movie The Transporter playing, and Bam is really into my cinematography. I was always shooting motion picture film at the time, 35 millimeter and Super 16 and stuff. So he says, we got to see The Transporter. I've heard wonderful things about this movie. And we had some beers on us. We just gotten out of a bar and gotten takeout.
That's the best thing to do. Get loaded exactly. And go see a movie.
Well, not only did he wanted to go get loaded and see a movie, he wanted to go get loaded while seeing the movie. So we dug into an alley. We're sticking the beer bottles down our pants, and we go in there. We take our seats. The movie theater's about half full, and we're watching it. So we're cracking beers. Now it's weird. A lot of times when you're on a flight or in a public place or in a restaurant, there's always some Mr. I'm the good citizen and I do the right thing and I demand you must do the right thing even though you're not hurting anybody. You know what I mean? Like this Mr. 5-star citizen so he hears us cracking the beers and he goes, yo, is that alcohol you're bringing in here? I'm like, dude, relax. It's soda. So he goes, well, you're not supposed to bring soda in here. You know that, don't you? And Bam goes, what difference is it to you? Just enjoy the movie. We're poor, okay? We don't have enough money to buy the sodas here at the movie theater. We're bringing in our own. And the guy's with his kid, so he has to be Mr. Morals for his kid to show his kid that he has the high moral authority over everyone around him. So anyway, so we start sipping on these beers, and about 3 beers into it, Bam goes, man, I got to take a piss. And so I go, well, wait for one of the boring parts. He goes, fuck that, I'm not waiting for anyone. So he whips out his dick and starts just pissing there in the seat. Now, the piss is hitting the floor, and it's splashing up all over my pants and his pants and my boot, and he's like half pissing on my boots, but I think it's hilarious that he's doing it. And the dude a couple rows in front of us kind of looks down. You can tell he sees the rush of piss. And and so he looks back, he goes, what are you spilling? What are you guys, what are you spilling a soda? And in the meantime, everyone around us is going, shh, quiet, we're trying to watch the movie. And so I go, that's not from us. Someone behind us must have spilled something. Just relax and watch the movie. And then Bam drops his beer bottle. He put it down gingerly on the floor, and then he accidentally kicked it with his shoe. And it starts rolling down the aisle. It hits the dude in the boot. The dude picks it up and goes, you're busted. Get over here. Security. And me and Bam were like, let's get the fuck out of here. This movie sucks anyway. Fuck you, assholes. So yeah, that's my big story with Bam Margera watching The Transporter in Chicago. What do you got for me, Creech? What do you got that you think you can top that, Creech? Is that what you think?
I'm not sure, Franz, to be honest. I mean, that's a pretty good one to kick everything off with. But yeah, I'm gonna go with one that happened actually during my time as a manager at the theater. Well, this was a 8-screen movie theater, and it is really the cheapest seat in town. I mean, even to today it still is, but back then in 2008 it was like $2 during the day, $4 at night, and that was for first run movies. And it's not in the greatest part of town, so you can see why it's a little bit cheaper. But yeah, so I'm managing the theater, and one of my friends was going through a dark spell, to say the least at the time. He was doing a lot of drugs and making drugs, and unbeknownst to me...
Wait. And wait, you just breezed by a very important... And making drugs?
Yes. Yes, making drugs. See, I didn't know this at the time.
What kind of drugs are we talking about? Are we talking about meth, LSD? What?
No, it wasn't anything like that. It wasn't anything like hardcore, like Walter White, cooking involved.
What else can you make? What is he growing weed?
This was some kind of drug that involved the over-the-top or over-the-counter quercetin and some other stuff that apparently you mix together and you ferment in a toilet, like prison style apparently, which is just weird. But he makes it, and apparently it's as strong as like LSD or acid, and it makes you hallucinate. And
okay,
but we're gonna get to that part.
Okay.
So I didn't know he had made this and then actually used this before coming to the theater. But he texts me out of the blue. I'm already working. He's like, "Hey, I really want to come up and see Cloverfield. I've been waiting for that movie for a long time. Do you think you can get me in today?" It was during the week, so the movie theater was a little bit slower than normal. So I was like, "Yeah, sure. Just here's the times. Come up when you want, and I'll get you in." So he comes up. He doesn't seem to be off. He just seems really happy. So I just assumed that maybe he had a great day.
Right.
And he goes into Cloverfield. He sits down, starts watching the movie. As you know, it's found footage and about a monster attacking New York. Probably about 30 minutes into the movie, which is roughly probably 10-15 minutes after the attacks start happening in the movie, I get a customer coming and saying there's a guy screaming bloody murder in the theater, and we're actually kind of scared. Can you remove him from the theater? And at first I'm like, oh God, who is this? Like, well, seriously, this is how my day is going to be here today. So I go in there, and the first thing I notice is that the actual voice sounds really familiar. That's screaming. And I'm like, I hear, oh my fucking God, he's killing people. And I'm like, what is going on? I go over to where my friend's at, and of course, it's him that is screaming. And apparently, in his drug-addled mind at the time, he was watching the monster come out of the screen and eat the people in the theater. Like, he was seeing him scoop people up and rip them in half and everything. And he's like, there's blood everywhere. and unfortunately, this ends with, I have to kick my own friend out, who I got in.
But wait a minute. What I don't understand. Okay, but at this point, you have no idea that he's on a hallucinogenic drug. So what is the first thing going through your mind when you see your friend ranting and raving to this degree? I mean, what are you thinking?
I wasn't really thinking anything other than I need to get him out of this theater now. I was like, this is not good. I didn't find out the other side of the story for like 2 weeks later, and then he was like, yeah, I'm sorry about that. And I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, yeah, I was making drugs and I, took them. I was like, oh, okay. Well, don't ever do that again, at least if you're going to come see a movie at my theater.
Well, what else have you witnessed over there in your years of service as a movie theater manager, projectionist, etc.?
The life of a projectionist was pretty boring back in the day. Now I don't even know if they quite exist anymore because most of the digital projectors start and stop the movies themselves. But back then you had to have a projectionist that literally you put the movie, you threaded it up, and you started it. When it dropped, you rethreaded it and just kept. That's all you did all day. So
right, yeah, a lot of the younger listeners don't know that film back then was actually made on a material called film, and it required a person to actually touch this material called film and put the reels on.
But moving them in themselves was a pain in the ass back then, because like nowadays with digital, there's a hard drive that's encrypted. You can take the hard drive out, put it in a different projector, and bam, it's going to show on that theater screen. But with film, you had to clamp the movies, have people to lift the film up and carry it over to whatever theater you wanted to show it in. And
how much did they weigh?
They weighed anywhere from 30 to 40 pounds usually.
Did you ever drop one?
Oh yes. That was that was where one of the things we're to get to. I wound up dropping it. I've dropped a couple of movies, and one of the ones that was the worst was Avatar on opening night, because that was probably about 50 or 60 pounds. And it was just two of us because we couldn't get a third person because you can only use 3 clamps on the film, but it doesn't really hold it tight. So if you don't pick it up in the right places, the film will literally fall between your fingers. So what we had, we lifted it up, and then literally a good third of the middle of the movie fell out while we were trying to move it. Oh. Just fell all over the floor.
I'm assuming that most people who are listening to this have actually seen a piece of film, but when it unrolls, it's like it has a life of its own. It just expands in all directions, and it gets in coils, and it tangles, and it just gets all over the place, and then it gets dust all over it. It's crazy the way when film starts to unravel. Watch out, and it is so delicate. It can get damaged so easily. What did you do?
Well, I said a bunch of curse words. That was my first reaction. But yeah, then I was like, well, shit, this is opening day of Avatar, which went on to be the highest grossing film in history.
No thanks to you.
No thanks to me, right? On opening night, I dropped it. I dropped it probably about 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And it took a good, for roughly the reels that dropped on the floor were probably maybe 30 to 45 minutes of actual film. However, it took a good 6 hours to unravel and then reattach it to the rest of the film.
Oh my God.
And we had to cancel all the rest of the showings for that night. So, yeah, we didn't get no money on that one. That's actually not the worst thing I've ever done, though. Believe it or not, to a film.
What's the worst you ever fucked up?
Oh God, this was American Gangster with Denzel Washington.
Right.
And American Gangster was a long movie, and it was also the last one I was building up the night before. So I was exhausted, and I was tired, and I wasn't obviously paying attention. So I'm watching the movie the next day, and, you know, everything's working fine, and then one of the reels goes through, and all of a sudden the image is upside down, and you're like, what the hell is going on? I'm looking at it like, what the hell's going on?
You put the film in backwards.
When I was putting it together, I put one reel upside down.
Oh my God.
And this was a sold out showing with over 200 seats. We had to refund all of the ticket sales, and we had to refund all of the concessions. So
the concessions? You had to give the candy back? They had to give the candy back?
We had to give they got to keep whatever they actually bought, but we had to give them the money they spent for it back.
Oh my god, dude. And that's how a movie theater makes its money. A lot of people think a movie theater makes its money on the tickets. They don't. They make it on the sale of candy. It's basically a big glorified candy store where you can watch a movie. That is crazy. How much trouble did you get into?
I didn't get into too much trouble, surprisingly, because frankly that theater manager was getting ready to leave, so he gave two shits. But
thank God for people who are underpaid.
Yes, thank God for that, because I cost easily upward to probably close, $2,000 to $3,000 for that showing.
And how do people prove that they got the candy? Like, did they just come to you with empty popcorn boxes they picked up off the floor and said they paid for it? Oh, there must have been so many fights.
It's very well they could have done that. I would have done that. I'd have been like, that person dropped their stuff. Let me go ahead and get that. Hey, I bought this.
Oh my god.
Actually, to go about with kind of upsetting our boss, I'm gonna go to literally my second day on the job. This is when I was starting to train for projectionist. So he was showing me just how to begin threading through the rollers, and he was busy, and he was like, "Okay, well, you can go ahead and do this one. This movie's getting ready to start." And it was like Meet the Robinsons. So I'm threading it through. And
this is your first time. This is your solo run. This is the first time your boss has trusted you to do it yourself.
Yeah, he's not watching. Watching me at all. And
I know where this is going.
Yeah, and so I threaded up something wrong, and it caused the platter to spin really, really fast, which in turn wraps the film really, really tight, and it got really fucked up. And then I didn't know what to do. It was my second day, so I was like, I went over the walkie. I was like, hey man, I'm done. Can I go on break? Is it fine if I go on a break? And he's like, yeah, it's cool. Go ahead, man. And so this movie is supposed to start. There's no way in hell it's going to start when it's supposed to. I'm down in the theater just because I was like, let me hide.
But wait a minute. Wait. So you created he trusted you on your solo run. You created a big problem and fucked up the film, and then you just left and acted like there was no problem?
Exactly. I didn't even tell him that anything was wrong. and so, like...
You're never getting hired for anything again. Wait till people hear... Wait till this story gets out.
Right?
You're never fucking getting... You little weasel son of a bitch.
Yeah. And then, so, like, I go downstairs, and then in that theater, I heard him scream, CJ! Really loud. And then somebody went over the walkie and they're like, hey, why isn't Meet the Robinsons starting? And he's like, because CJ, that asshole, brain wrapped the film and didn't tell me, and then asked to go on break.
Not only did you betray your boss, but now he knows you betrayed him. Oh my god, dude. Oh. What did you say? How did you weasel out of it?
I was like, God, I didn't know what to do, man. I freaked out. I'm sorry. That's really all I did.
He accepted that? Wait, accepted that as an excuse?
No, I was doing bitch work for the rest of the day. He was like, you're not touching any of these projectors. So he was having me like clean the insides of the heads in between showing with the toothbrush. So I get to do like a bunch of bitch work for the rest of the day. Well-deserved bitch work, I guess you could say, but...
either you were such a nice guy that he decided to keep you on, or it was such a low-paying shit job that nobody else wanted it, and you were the best option.
Probably the second one, to be honest.
Well, I remember when Kill Bill 2 came out, and of course I was a big fan of Tarantino and how he had the non-linear storylines. Like in Pulp Fiction, it's told in a non-linear fashion. You don't watch the movie in order. So I think we're like 5 minutes early, but the movie's already started. And I was like, this is bullshit. They started the movie like 5 minutes early. All right, well, fuck it. So me and my girlfriend, we sit down, and it's the scene. What I didn't know is it's the end scene. In the newspaper, they had the listing wrong of the time it was going on. They had changed the time that the movie started. And they didn't have it written anywhere in the fucking movie theater. So I've been so excited to see Kill Bill 2 for like 2 years. And I think they're showing what seems to be the final showdown scene at the beginning of the movie, because the movie is not in order because it's a Tarantino script. And yeah, I fucking watched the last scene of the movie before I got to see any of the fucking movie. I was fucking furious. And was I man enough to ask for my money back? No. I don't know why I didn't stick up for my rights as a consumer, man. I don't know.
I've got, speaking of surprises, now this one actually didn't happen at my theater, but we got word back. It was a sister theater of ours that wound up having this unfortunate incident happen to it. You know, as you know, sometimes theaters, especially when movies get older, sometimes they'll wind up doing showings, alternate showings. And for some reason, this theater decided that they were going to alternate The Hills Have Eyes 2 with The Last Mimsy, which was a kids movie, which is a bad idea. You know, R-rated horror movie and G-rated kids movie. But this person, the projectionist there, was not paying attention.
I know where this is going.
Yes, this guy did not notice. And unfortunately for all of the kids and adults in the theater, Hills Have Eyes 2, the remake, does not start off, I guess you could say, kind of, you know how some movies kind of start off a little bland or whatever, they introduce characters? No. The beginning of this movie is a graphic birth scene of a mutant ripping a baby between this lady's legs, and there's blood shooting everywhere. And it's just one of the most shocking starts to a movie. I mean, granted, that movie sucked.
There's no build up. But there's no build up. There's no warning.
No, but that's the first thing that happens. And what happened was there was almost a riot of screaming and crying children and parents running out of the theater after that scene. Running straight to the box office to raise hell.
Oh my God! Oh, what were they saying?
Oh, the parents were livid because it's graphic and it's very dark. They were upset, and their kids. The kids don't even know what they're witnessing, but they're crying because it's once again very bloody, very graphic. It's a kind of scary looking mutant that's doing it. And it's just a bunch of bad. This person got fired. They didn't get no second chances like I've gotten. They were fired.
So basically, those kids, that whole movie theater of kids, is going to have nightmares for the next 7 years.
Oh yeah, no, this was 2007. So now they're probably deranged teenagers, adults now. If you turn on the TV and see shit happening in their neighborhood, it's probably them that are doing it now because they were traumatized by Hills Have Eyes 2 in 2007.
God, can you imagine how many of those kids are growing up to be serial killers as we speak?
Exactly. The death toll could already be huge from this point on.
I witnessed the movie theater riot one time, and I went to see a movie called The Faculty. Which I love.
Great movie, yes.
Yeah, great goddamn movie, right? So we're like partway through the movie, and all the fire alarms go off. I'm like, God damn it. I'm in South Philadelphia, and you get a lot of kids in these movie theaters that like to pull fire alarms. It happens all the time, and it happens a lot less now that there's video cameras everywhere, and it's also a felony. But back then, before the golden age of video cameras, people were pulling fire alarms left and right. And I remember coming out of the movie theater. Now, when you talk about free speech and our First Amendment rights, someone always says, yes, you have the right to say anything you want, so long as it doesn't infringe upon the safety of other people. For example, you can't yell fire in a movie theater. So I go outside the door into the lobby, and there's this black dude on the balcony yelling, fire! 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 Now, people think there's a fire, and people start pushing and shoving, and women are falling, and babies are crying, and people start fighting. I'm like, holy shit. So no one's using the fire exit doors. Everyone's trying to go out into the main lobby. So I go out into the main lobby. There's this like gang of like, now we don't have like the Bloods or the Crips here in Philly, but we got some gangs of some bad motherfuckers, and they were there to see one movie or another, and they were not happy. And they're sitting there demanding their money back. Now everyone's pulling around them to try and make it out the doors, pushing and shoving. They're yelling at the lady. She's begrudgingly taking out her cash box. Her manager starts screaming at her to get back here and help me control this, blah, blah, blah. So she just leaves. They reach into all their hands just shoot into the little window where you can talk. And so there's like 3 hands all grabbing in there like an octopus grabbing the money. Money's flying around in there. I'm like, I got to get the fuck out of here before somebody pulls out a gun and starts shooting. It felt very dangerous, and it was very scary. And I called the movie theater the next day and told them what happened. They said, yeah, just come on and we'll give you your money back. No questions asked.
Well, at least there's a nice ending for that one, for sure.
That's what I call the First Amendment violation robbery. That's what I call that story.
Well, I've got one that involves fire, too. Probably one of my worst days as a manager. And this is mainly due to the head manager of the actual theater at the time. We had a nickname for him. And his nickname was Crabapple. So, if for instance, if we saw him coming in to the theater, everybody'd go over the walkie, Crabapple. So we could all mentally prepare to deal with the bullshit that he was getting ready to put us through.
Oh, okay. So Crabapple was your code word for the asshole is coming to work here today.
Yes, or the asshole is here. He was strict and to the budget. He always wanted to make sure he came in under budget because he got a bonus. So this guy would
I hate people. Dude, I hated people like that at all my minimum wage jobs. God damn it, dude. Is it worth the stress for you to make $10 extra at the end of the month and to put us all through a bunch of bullshit?
Yeah, he would literally have there would be times where I would be opening the theater and I would literally be the only employee. So I was selling people the tickets. I'd go to concessions and sell them their food and then go upstairs and start the movie. I was literally doing everything. It was a nightmare.
Oh man.
There was a movie that was supposed to be really big that thankfully wound up flopping. And it was called The Last Airbender. It was an M. Night Shyamalan movie based on like that kid show Avatar. Not to be confused with the blue people. This was a bald kid with that could control the elements. So we were having a midnight showing there, and he didn't schedule many people to prepare for it.
You're having a midnight showing of a kid's movie.
Yes.
Yeah, this dude's a genius businessman. He's going to bust everyone's balls to make an extra $10 for his profit margin, and he schedules a G-rated movie at midnight.
Exactly. So I'd say probably about 10 o'clock, basically shit hit the fan from 10 to 12. And so, first off, there is a car that catches fire in the parking lot. And and nobody decides to notify any of the people, and a tow truck comes and just starts towing people's cars away. I get that he was, he said he was trying to make them safe, but it's like he didn't move them. He actually took them away. So, it's a very big dick move to do. But they called the fire department, and the fire department is also smashing people's windows to get the cars that were left to put them in neutral and push them away from the one that they're fighting the fire with. So all of that shit's happening. So they do all that, and then they want to get all these cars away in case it blows up. They don't want a chain reaction of like, I guess, Dark Knight proportions over here.
Okay.
And so they're smashing and moving, and all the people in the theaters are none the wiser. Some people's cars have been taken off. Some are now windowless. And we had that headache to deal with. And then when people start lining up for this midnight screening, some jackass decides out of all nights that he's really happy for this elemental bit, I guess you could say, moving kid. And this is he just starts like blowing fire out in front of our box office. Like, see, I was livid.
Wait. He's doing what?
He's, you know, like one of the carnies or whatever that would, like, you know, spit fire or whatever as like a trick. Yeah, he was out there doing that. And I was livid. I went out there and probably devoured his soul by just staring at him, because that guy took one look at me and completely bolted. Because
but don't you need a license to do that? You need like a license and like a permit to do that, and permission.
Yeah, I would assume so too. But we didn't hire anybody for this, and this jackass decides he wants to bend some elements himself and start spitting fire. And
what the hell kind of neighborhood is this?
This is not the greatest neighborhood. It's a nice place to go to get a good old fashioned, you know, cheap movie. Maybe witness a drive-by. There's been people that were shot and that ran into our theater afterwards, you know, dragging blood into the store.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious.
Oh my God, that's terrible.
And I come off as the dick for that, because the guy that got shot, he got shot in like the leg. It wasn't nowhere. He didn't hit nothing. But so it's just bleeding a little bit. But this guy comes bleeding in there. I'm like, get the hell off the bench, dude! You're bleeding all over the floor. And like,
I don't want your AIDS. Excuse me. I know you're dying, and I know you've been shot, but I don't want your AIDS when I have to go clean this up. Can you move it along?
Yeah,
sir?
It's like, I'm gonna need you to go die somewhere else if that's the case.
But from what I hear, people like to do sexually perverted things in a movie theater, and having worked at one, you must have seen your fair share of interesting activities when the lights are out. Creech, am I right? Am I right?
Yeah, you're definitely right, Franz.
Do tell.
I've seen quite a bit. The one that sticks out with me the most is when I was a projectionist. You have the people that just sit in the theater watching the credits, and so I wanted them out so it could be, you know, the ushers could go ahead and clean. So literally almost as soon as the movie ended and it just starts listing the cast members of the movie, I'm turning the lights on, and you know, so that people will get up and leave. But I did that, and I can't remember what movie it is. I only remember that it's a movie that had Nicolas Cage in it. Usually I don't do this, but I glanced down as I was turning on the lights, and I saw movement, and the next thing I know, I'm looking at a girl on top of a guy, and they're staring at me with like deer in the headlights. And they look at me knowing that I know exactly what they're doing, and I'm feeling extremely awkward for turning on the lights and having to witness this. So I just turn the lights back off and then slowly step away, and just never mention that again.
So they have a vision ingrained in their memories of having sex and then seeing your face watching them. But who gets that turned on during a Nick Cage movie? I mean, what's there to get a boner about?
I don't know either. There was another movie. It was like the last showing, which is usually when people try to get their freak on, because there's not many people in the theaters or whatever. They're being risky, and I believe they were the only two people in the theater, but they were doing it in the middle of the movie, and I caught them. A lady's head kept going a little bit further down south than just to pick up anything, if you get my drift. So she's straight up blowing this dude. And so I'm like, I'm not going to turn the lights on or anything, because obviously it's in the middle of the movie.
This woman is obviously not picking up Raisinets from the aisle.
Yes, I make the stupid mistake to bring some of the ushers up there. And I was like, yo, you should go look out that window and check out that. And so, of course, they look and see it. And then their smart idea is they go back downstairs to the theater that they're in, open the door ever so slightly, and just scream "ew" at the top of their lungs.
Yes, so mature
at the top of their lungs, and then run out giggling. So immediately, the people were pissed off, and they wanted to speak to the manager, and they were very upset that they were bothered.
What the fuck are you going to say to the manager? Excuse me. We're sitting here trying to peacefully have sex in the movie theater, and your employees are a bit immature.
Yeah.
How do you complain about that?
They complained about it, and they got free passes to see another movie.
No way.
And it was just...
Well, the only tale of sexual perversion I've ever even come close to was I'm taking a whiz in the bathroom at the movie theater, and standing next to me at the urinal is a gay black transvestite dude who looks down, looks in my eyes, and goes, "That's right, honey. Bear it and share it. So long as it has pubic hair on it. That's what my mom always told me." And I'm just staring at this dude. I'm like, "Your mom told you that?" And he goes, "That's right. As long as the person's old enough, you can do whatever you want." You know what I'm saying, honey? And I'm completely freaked out. I'm like, "No, I don't know what you're saying. I'm just trying to take a whiz here." And that was, that's about as far as I got to first base in a movie theater. Weren't you telling me that one of your friends realized he was gay for the first time in the movie theater while you were working? What's the deal with that?
Well, there was this one guy, and I'm not homophobic. I have actually quite a few gay friends, and
sure.
The thing was, one thing annoys me is I get that it may be hard to come out, but when you're so flamboyantly over that point, I don't see why you'd want to hide.
You're right. One time, a friend of mine came out to us, and he was like, "I have news for you guys. I'm gay." And we were like, "Dude, we've known." He's like, "How did you know? You're gay, and we love you. Come here. Give me a hug." It was like one of those moments. He's all crying, and he was freaked out that we all knew he was gay, probably before he knew he was gay.
Yeah, and this guy would vehemently deny that he was, in fact, gay. Would swear up and down that he had a girlfriend, and that they would spend hours upon hours making out.
Oh, isn't that always sad when one of your gay friends is in denial and they sit there for so long? Every girl that walks by, they're like, "Oh man, look at her butt." Right, guys? Yeah, dude. Okay. "Oh man, she's hot. Oh, I'd like to feel her boobs." It's like just admit to yourself you're gay. You'll be happier. I swear to God.
And this guy would go to college and then come back for the summers, and he'd work box office. When he came back, still maintained his straightness. However, we had another manager there with me. His name was Ryan, the gay dude,
the gay guy in denial,
yes. The JID, the gay in denial. He radios that he needs help in box office, and that he needs access to the safe. Ryan and me are looking at each other, and we're both fairly lazy managers. But Ryan goes down there, and he's going to help out Mr. JID. He opens the door, and the JID is standing there with a hard-on in his hands, staring point blank at Ryan with the biggest smile on his face.
Wait, so the gay dude in denial, the JID, is standing there with his wiener in his hands, just like that?
And Ryan said he was looking at him very lustfully. It kind of like you'd see in those cartoons when like a dog or somebody sees a piece of meat and then they start salivating profusely.
Like the old Tex Avery cartoons where the wolf was like, "Woo!"
Exactly.
Woo,
He's looking. And,
oh my God.
He said he looked at it. He looked down because he was opening the door, and he looked up. So he got an eye full of cock. And then he looked at the face.
It's better than a mouthful.
It's better than a mouthful. And then he immediately looked up to his face, and then, obviously he saw the reaction, and he just started screaming, "No, no, 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 oh God, no." And then he backed up and then slammed the door shut. Ryan did. Leaving.
Well, wait a minute. But the gay dude who hadn't come out yet radioed to you first.
Yes, no,
So that boner that he was holding in his hand, waiting for someone to come in, was intended for you.
Well, I narrowly dodged that bullet, thankfully.
But wait, so at the end of the day, he was just waiting for the next dude to come in to see his whack.
Exactly.
It didn't seem to matter who it was.
He was just ready to, I think, officially come out. But then he kind of backtracked a little bit, I'm going to be honest. After Ryan almost fell out of the box office from backpedaling, Jid put his thing back in his pants. It came out and was like, ha, I got you. That was a good joke, right? Good guy joke, right? And
that's a joke. No, it's not a good joke.
And that's what Brian was like, no, let's just not speak of this. Can you go back in the box office and work? And he's like, okay, I'll do that.
First of all, if it was a joke, what are you doing with a boner? Like, how do you get a boner from a joke? Are you so sexually turned on by the fact that you're going to perform a joke that you get a boner? Like boners don't work that way. Like, you get one from getting sexually aroused, not from the prospect of being able to pull a good joke.
Exactly. It was a horrifying experience for him. But after he worked the rest of his shift that day, and he was like, as he was leaving, he's like, I got you again. That was a good one. And then he never showed up to work again.
No, he never came to work again.
That was his last day. He just never came back for any of his shifts.
That's definitely worth never coming to work again for. Oh my God.
This was back in the day, so I happened upon his MySpace, and he finally came out. His top 8 was nothing but shirtless dudes, and I'm guessing he's having a great life now. I haven't talked to him in quite a while.
What did you guys used to do to the food?
Well, it's not so much what we did to the food, but it's what we didn't do that we were supposed to. For instance, we, at the end of the night, we're supposed to just throw out the popcorn. But what the boss would do, because he's a cheapskate and wanted to come in under budget, he would make us bag up whatever popcorn was not eaten or sold and put it in this giant black trash bag. Not sealing the trash bag, just putting it in a trash bag and throwing it in the back. Meanwhile, the cleaning crew comes in overnight and everything. The bag's open. So chemicals are getting into it and whatnot, all sorts of grossness. Then he would want whoever was opening the next morning to put that batch of popcorn that's now 12 hours stale and full of all sorts of chemicals back in the popper or in the heater and just rewarm it up and sell it.
Yeah.
A lot of employees would use the customer cups that they'd wind up selling. Some didn't have the greatest of hygiene or the sexual diseases that come along with it to be drinking out of cups and reselling them. But
oh no!
But they would use the cups and then rinse it out with water and resell it to the other customers.
Because they count the cups at the end of the night, and that's how you do your count as to how much money should be in the drawer. Yeah, so you got some zit-faced teenager with herpes all over his mouth from having unprotected sex with some horrible-looking girl.
Or somebody who has a really gross cold sore that may not just be a cold sore.
Yeah, it's called herpes.
Yeah.
This movie theater that you worked at doesn't sound like it was in the greatest of neighborhoods, but sometimes seeing a movie in a bad neighborhood can be a lot of fun. As a matter of fact, some of the antics in the theater that you see among the audience is actually more entertaining than the film. Now, I am a big Jackie Chan fan. I remember when I saw Rumble in the Bronx. I had to go. There was only one theater in the city that was playing it in West Philadelphia. So I go into this movie theater. They want to scream at the movie whenever they like something. So, for example, if there's some guy and, there's something around the corner waiting for him, they'll yell, "Oh, shit! oh shit, look out, motherfucker. And it's a lot of fun. I mean, it's better than 3D. It takes you into a new dimension of film watching. And so we're watching Rumble in the Bronx. So the dude in front of me gets a phone call in the middle of the movie. And rather than like turn it to silent, he just picks it up. Hello? Yo, what's up? Shaniqua, you know what? What the fuck you doing calling me while I'm watching a movie? I told you I was going to fucking movies. I don't care what's going on at home. Hello? Hello? Can you believe this shit? The bitch hung up on me, you bitch. So he dials her back and starts screaming at her. He's like, don't you ever motherfucking hang up on me when I'm in the motherfucking movie theater, you bitch. How dare you? Who the fuck do you think you are? Who the fuck do you think you're talking to? What the fuck? Have you lost your goddamn mind? You don't disrespect me. You never did. And none of us are asking this man to shut up. Because the fact that he's in a phone argument, he told her to get off. He didn't want her calling when he's in the movie theater. She hangs up. He calls her, but the situation is so ludicrous. We are all laughing, and I actually had to see that movie again so I could play catch up because I missed a great fight scene. But it was worth it, man. It was that was a fun night seeing Rumble in the Bronx.
One of my friends took me to see a movie for my birthday. It's this little movie called Borat. And he was Jewish, and that movie is not very nice to Jewish people.
Right. There's a lot of humor one could argue is bordering on anti-Semitic, but I think it's done in a fun way.
Yeah, no, I thought it was hilarious, but
it's anti-Semitism in the nicest way possible.
I got to watch one of my friends just basically turn white from being offended so much. This look on his face, like his jaw dropped so low, you thought he was getting ready to blow somebody.
Well, you should have went for it.
Yeah, it was just probably one of the most awkward experiences. Because I mean, I enjoyed the hell out of it, but I didn't know of the content. So when he was like, "Oh, I'll take you for your birthday," I was like, "Okay," and then he was like regretted it immensely. Needless to say, we never saw another movie as well.
He stopped going to movies just because one movie had some Jewish humor?
No, I don't know if he stopped going to movies, but he stopped taking me to a movie.
You didn't make the movie.
I didn't. No, that is correct.
What the fuck? I think this dude's a little too uptight. I mean, you know, I hate the Nazis as much as the next dude, but if you're never going to go to the movies again with a friend just because the friend took you to see Borat, I think you might be a little too uptight.
That is definitely possible, to say the least, for sure. I've got a different kind of crazy story. It involves our favorite douchebag manager, but this one is going to be one of the ones that led to the end of my time at the theater. Now, this manager, Crabapple, one of the other managers had called out, so it was me and him at the end of the night, closing down the theater. So while I did inventory, he went up to count the money, of all the drains and all of the sales for the day. He went ahead and did it and dropped the money in the safe, and I finished inventory and left at like 6 in the morning. Now I come back at 10 in the morning because this jackass scheduled me to come back at 10. So 4 hours later, I'm back, and I'm counting the safe, getting it ready to open up, and I'm like, wait a minute, there's like $5,000 missing out of this safe.
What?
And I'm like, what the hell's going on? So I get the other manager to come in there, and I'm like, count this. Like, maybe it's just because I'm exhausted, but I'm missing $5,000 out of the safe. And he
look, I feel exhausted, but I'm not exhausted enough to miss $5,000. But maybe I'm wrong. Go ahead.
Yes,
you count.
Yeah. He counted, and he's like, dude, there's like $5,000 missing from the safe. And I was like, okay, so that's what I thought. So obviously the first thing we're going to do is we're going to call Crabapple, because one, he was the last person to handle money.
Yeah, but you're also a suspect too, because you've also handled the money, trying to blame it. You could have been trying to blame it on him, Creech.
Exactly. Well, no, yeah, he submitted that the money was there, and then when we counted in the morning, it wasn't there. So we call him, and we're like, hey, there's $5,000 missing in this safe. And And he's like, oh, okay, well, let me be right there. So I was like, okay. About 4 hours later, he shows up. He lives about 20 minutes away from the theater, by the way, in a new car.
Oh man, what the fuck?
in a new car, a new convertible.
Wait. Walk us through the dialogue. So he shows up in a new car.
He came in chipper as always. He was like, "Hey guys, how's it going? Hey, Mr. Creech, how are you doing?" And just walked upstairs like nothing was happening, like there wasn't $5,000 missing. And corporate calls.
But he knew that the reason you called him was to tell him that there was $5,000 missing, and then he comes in a new car and walks right away and doesn't talk to you guys about it.
Exactly. And then he tried to blame us, the corporate, and we found out, and we got a hold of corporate, and we're like, "Yo, look at this shit. I worked last night. I didn't touch the money at all. This guy comes in with a new fucking car." And eventually he tried to pin it on me, and I was just like, forget this. And I wound up leaving the theater and getting unemployment for a while because he couldn't pin it on me, and he wound up getting fired and shipped away.
Who steals $5,000 and immediately buys a new car that night? Who does that? Who's
the same guy that literally, he's the only manager I had ever worked for that got investigated for child inappropriate touching.
Oh my God, that's terrible.
This manager, Crabapple, would bring little girls up to his office, and he'd close the door, and they'd be in there for like 20 or 30 minutes and come out with new theater t-shirts and posters and everything. And so like the employees of the theater wound up writing corporate and being like, "We think he's molesting girls in his office," because it was just so freaking weird.
Well, Creech, we got time for one more story. Do you got a big ender for us?
Actually, I do have one.
Oh,
yeah.
No, please do.
Yeah,
please
do. Now this one, I don't even know if I can get in trouble for this one.
Then it has to be good.
Yes. Now this one, I'm going to use no names. It's not something I personally did, but I witnessed them. I witnessed them do it, and then allowed it to be sent off like this.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, have you seen the movie Fight Club? Right.
Yes.
Okay. So there's the scene where Brad Pitt's talking about splicing together porn into movies, right?
Yes.
Now, we're a first-run theater. We only show up to rated R. But one of my friends that was a projectionist was getting ready to leave the theater, leave the job. And the boss pissed him off. Like, this was... So what he did was we had both the movie Forgetting Sarah Marshall and Iron Man 2 there, and they were getting ready to leave. So we were going to have to break it down and ship it off to the next theater. Now, there's a scene in Forgetting Sarah Marshall in the very beginning of the movie where Jason Segal's character finds out that his girlfriend doesn't want to be with him anymore. And he had just taken a shower. So when she says she doesn't want to be with him anymore, he uses his hands to cover his mouth like he's shocked, and then his towel drops, and you see full frontal male nudity.
Good.
So what?
Sounds like my kind of movie.
Yeah, but basically that clip right there, my friend cut out of that movie, and then what he did was he got to the end of Iron Man, where Tony Stark reveals, "I am Iron Man," and then it goes into the credits. Well, before it goes into the credits, he inserted that scene of the guy getting shocked and dropping his towel and exposing his male genitalia, and then it goes into credits. Yeah, especially when you consider, Iron Man was more kid oriented. It was PG, and so you have like this. Okay, the movie's so great, and then I am Iron Man, and then an eye full of dick into the theater. So we don't know where the print went to, but there is no way they would have caught that. So it at least screamed one time.
So in
Yes.
other words, he splices in the dick scene at the end of Iron Man. It's I am Iron Man. We see a dick, and he wraps it up, sends it out to the next theater. The next theater is not going to check the whole movie. So somewhere in the world, a room full of children watching this movie saw I am Iron Man and just saw a dude's pants drop and a dick fall out.
Yes, exactly. Some second-run theater somewhere in America got the Iron Man, the R-rated Iron Man cut.
Dude, that is brilliant. You know what? When most people quit a job, they say they just had enough, and there's a straw that broke the camel's back, and they say, fuck this place, fuck you all, I'm never coming back. You know, and they storm out the door, and it's a big scene. No, not this dude. He spent hours of time calculating revenge on not only that theater, but the entire film industry, really.
Exactly. It was this giant last fuck you to pretty much everything.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for listening to the Creech and Frantz show. We really appreciate you. And Creech, you have any final words for our fans?
Had a great time. I hope you enjoyed these crazy-ass stories of movie experiences.
Yes, and don't forget to send us your recommendations for shows, topics that you would like to hear about. Thank you so much. We love you.